Yeah.
It's George.
It's Elaine.
Come on up.
Hey, Vinny, listen to...
I never heard anything like this in my life. Listen to this.
This is exciting! This is exciting! Huh? Did I miss anything already?
Kramer, get in!
Where's the crazy man?
Hey, sit down. Come on, it's about to start.
Hello and welcome to Seincast, a retrospective on all 180 episodes of Seinfeld, being hosted by two guys who can barely run their own lives. My name is Matt.
My name is Vinny. Matt, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. What's new with you?
Nothing much. Slept with Elaine last night.
Oxygen!
I need some oxygen.
Yeah, we're getting into the last episode of Season 2 this week. But first, how about we do a little Seinfeld news?
Hey, I got news for you.
Great news. And I got news. You ready?
What?
This was something I meant to bring up a couple weeks ago, but there's a podcast out there called the Hallie Casser-Jayne Show, and from October 15th, 2014, she interviewed Peter Melman. He is promoting a new book that he wrote, It Won't Always Be This Great, which everyone should check out on Amazon, but you should also check out the Hallie Casser-Jayne Show. It was a pretty great interview. It was maybe about half an hour long between the two of them. She also interviews John Waters, if anyone is a fan of his. But the Peter Melman interview covers just his upbringing, humor, writing in general, but he also gets into what it was like writing on Seinfeld and just sort of his thoughts on Jerry Seinfeld, Larry David, Julia Louis-Dreyfus. So anyways, everyone should check it out. We'll include the link on our show notes. But Vinny, something that came our way maybe a day or so after we recorded last week's episode was this new trailer for Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee.
Yes.
Did you see it?
I did.
What'd you think?
It was excellent. I had little chills and just I was looking at like a proud parent. Just it was so nice to see I guess we should discuss what it was, but it was a actual sketch of Jerry having to go to this big meeting with a big exec type.
The president of Crackle.
Thank you. There it goes. And he's traveling. He's lunging into cars, which was nice. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Each car he got into, he had to lunge into it. So he's still spry. He may be old, but he's spry. And then he finally gets there, and who do we see across the desk from him?
But Michael Richards.
Who's playing the role of, what's the name?
He plays someone by the name of Dick Corcoran, who I don't know if he's the actual president of Crackle, but it's just bizarre. Yeah. I mean, he has a mustache, the slick back hair, cigar.
Yeah, but I hate to say it though, I see that face and I think Kramer, which I know that's not what Michael Richards wants, and I'm sorry, but I can't. I see Kramer doing a bit. But it made me happy. I still really enjoyed it. It was a nice little sketch.
Yeah, there were moments here where Michael Richards was, I guess, channeling Kramer, so to speak. I don't think this skit's like a nod to his character, but it did remind me of like the junk mail episode where Kramer is saying, they keep pushing me and pushing me.
Yeah.
Just the shouting. Whenever Kramer got upset, there's a lot of that in this trailer for the new season of Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. But thoughts aside, though, it's so wonderful to see the two of these guys together.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when we saw Jason and Jerry and even Wayne Knight get together for the Super Bowl, they did a little comedians spot. And, seeing Julia with Kevin Dunn on Veep. Just seeing people that once worked on Seinfeld and they still come together to do other work, that it really brings joy to my heart. Oh my goodness.
Makes you want to get out of bed in the morning. So the new season of Comedians in Cars, I guess, premieres on November 6th, which is a Thursday, actually, in about a week at the time of this recording. So we should, part of me wonders if we should start covering Comedians in Cars.
A Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee podcast.
Does that exist?
Longest title ever.
So that's going to do it for Seinfeld News this week. Vinny, what episode are we discussing today?
We're discussing the 13th and final episode of Season 2, The Deal, which was written by Larry David, directed by Tom Sharonis, and aired on May 2nd, 1991.
And for everyone listening, Vinny and I are following the episode order on our DVDs, which might contradict the air date order or most online guides, so we recommend everyone pick up Seinfeld on DVD. But if you don't want to, we'll include our episode order in our show notes.
And I gotta say, from what I looked at online, the last episode that aired in the correct order was the Busboy, right?
Yeah.
Nothing against the Busboy, which I really enjoyed, but what an awful way to end the season when you got this Deal episode sitting here. A perfectly good episode doing nothing. It's a wonderful way to end the season, and granted the constraints that Larry David was put in, and which we'll get into in a little bit. I thought it was a wonderful way to end the season.
Yeah, you can tell from the order we're covering the episodes and the order they're on the DVDs is you can see the story moving forward here. Even from a continuity issue, Jerry even asks George, like, how's the job hunt going?
Yeah.
Which is a follow-up from last week's episode, which never gets brought up in The Busboy. And if anything, I don't know if he alludes to his job in The Busboy, but there's just these little hiccups that happen when the network reshuffled the episode.
Yeah, not a fan, NBC.
So to give a little setup to this episode, which I'm sure a lot of our listeners are familiar with, but for those that aren't, as the second season was nearing the end of production, there was sort of a lot of concern whether NBC would order a third season. So that was sort of this issue that's up in the air. Mm-hmm. And in order to kind of wrap up the season, there was a lot of pressure from network executives, especially Warren Littlefield, who I don't think we've brought up on this podcast for a while. I think the last time we brought him up was during season 1. He was present getting the show off the ground. He's either Stu Crespi or Jay Shermack.
Okay.
He's one of the two. He was basically one of the executives who got the show off the ground.
Yeah.
Someone who's been there since the beginning, someone who always lobbied for the show. And, specifically in this case, he had been lobbying to have Jerry and Elaine become a couple. This was something, I think, from a network point of view, we need to get our main characters together. This is something the audience can relate to.
Will they, won't they?
Yeah, this game that I feel like probably 99% of network TV shows play up.
It seems so cliche. And it is. But I guess it's the way you go about doing it. Because I have to say, the best usage of this will they, won't they thing, do you know what I'm going to say?
No.
The Office, the U.S. Office, they took spoiler alert here. They took Jim and Pam and it was a delight to see them each week and get to know each other very gradually. You always knew there was something between them. Jim definitely was in. You didn't know about, that was a perfect utilization of that vehicle. But as Larry, went on to say or show his true feelings, it didn't work in this style of comedy. They're not supposed to be together. No hugging, no learning. Right,
exactly. And he had been resisting this idea of getting Jerry and Elaine together for, since the beginning. It wasn't the right direction to take the show from a comedic standpoint, which, I think we might disagree a little bit on the whole Jim and Pam thing on The Office. I mean, it's all so subjective. You either like it or you don't, but I think I always prefer my comedy, especially like an ensemble comedy, to be focused primarily on the funny and not so much the romance.
Ugh.
I know, I've no soul.
No, you're entitled. I'm just, how can you not eat that up?
Well, hey, I got to throw it out there. I think for anyone out there that has seen the British Office, they did more with the Tim Dawn, who are the Jim Pam over there. They did more with that relationship in 12 episodes and a special than I think The Office did in 9 seasons. But that's just me.
That's saying something.
Yeah. Anyways, getting back to Seinfeld.
Is this the Office? Is this Office Cast? Yeah. What are we doing?
Anyways, getting back to what we were talking about here. Since the show's fate was, now we're really making it dramatic, but with the show's fate kind of hanging in the balance, this wasn't a sure thing that they were going to get a third season. Larry David granted Warren Littlefield's wish in the deal to get the two of them together. And the reason he complied is because he remembered something from his life that would actually work in the context of Seinfeld.
I love this setup, though, because Larry was put in this box. He had these constraints on him, and he was forced to, comply with the network's wishes. But what you end up getting is this wonderful episode, and he does it in a unique way that doesn't subscribe to the norm of the getting the two, the two leads together.
Vinny, I'll tell you, for years I always dislike this episode. This was always on like my list of least favorite episodes, if only because of the relationship thing going on. Like it just never felt right when you look at the show as a whole. But as we're watching these episode by episode, what Larry David did here, like there's no other way this could have worked,
Right.
Than what he brought, which was a real life, I guess, incident. I wish I knew the person he was dating at the time, but
Yeah. Was it Monica Yates or was it somebody else?
Well,
We don't know.
Monica Yates, they were actually boyfriend girlfriend. So to give this some context, I guess he had a friend of sorts. I don't know if she lived in New York, but he mentions at one point during an interview that when she came in or vice versa, they would kind of get together, and he presented these rules that they could follow to continue having sex, but essentially being friends with benefits. And I don't know if that term was thrown around during this episode 1991, but ever since then I feel like this is just like a commonplace kind of term, right?
Yeah. They made a movie about it.
Oh yeah, they made 2 movies about it, I think, right?
Well, yes. One with the actual title, but then one with the exact same premise.
It's the Armageddon Deep Impact scenario.
There you go. Same title, same cover.
And I don't know exactly how that worked out. I wonder at the time if it was the person he would go on marrying later in life. I don't know. A little bit of trivia before we get started. Larry David was nominated for an Emmy for his writing of this episode. And Peter Melman, who we mentioned in the news segment, to this day thinks that the scene between Jerry and Elaine is the best scene throughout the entire show, and that this is his favorite episode of all time. So
just like last week, there were a couple really nice one-on-one scenes between George and Jerry, or Elaine and Jerry talking to George. There's 2 or 3 really great scenes here with Elaine and Jerry, or George and Jerry.
Yeah,
these one-on-ones are so great.
Yeah, they're long too. I mean, we'll talk about this in the scenes. They run longer than we're used to, I think, even in these earlier seasons.
This one feels much more like a play, and there's only 5 characters in this episode. We have the addition of Tina and the introduction of we finally get to see Tina. But yeah, you could do this as a little play, this particular episode.
All right, well, let's get started.
I was watching women in the department store the other day trying on clothes, and I noticed that they do it differently from men. Women don't try on the clothes, they get behind the clothes, you see? They take a dress off the rack and they hold it up against themselves. They can tell something from this. They stick one leg way out. Because they need to know, if someday I'm one-legged at a 45-degree angle, what am I going to wear? You never see a man do that. You never see a guy take a suit off the rack, put his head in the neck and go, what do you think about this suit? I think I'll get it. Yeah, it looks fine. Put some shoes by the bottom of the pants. I want to make sure. Yeah, perfect. Now what if I'm walking? Move the shoes, move the shoes, move the shoes, move the shoes.
I relate to this one because I remember going shopping with my mom as a kid, and she would do this. And then she'd also put pants up to my waist, and see if the length was good. So I identify with this. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was funny.
Yeah, I thought this was really good too. Again, I feel like we are kind of moving away from the stand-up influencing the plot,
Yes.
or having anything to do with the plot. But yeah, this is a great routine. This definitely feels like, all right, let me pull from my source of jokes. This will be the stand-up for this episode, and then I'll worry about coming up with stuff that ties in later on. So the first scene, such a classic scene. I meant to say this earlier, but it's going to be a little tricky covering this. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Chinese restaurant where we were dealing with one scene. How do we break this up into segments? The scenes run a little bit long, and the dialogue between the characters is just so good. We might be a little heavy on clips this week, so if you don't like clips, sorry. If you do, awesome. But Elaine and Jerry are sitting on the couch, and she's flipping through the channels while Jerry is, trying to suggest, a channel to stick with.
Which I really like because they're so comfortable with each other that they can just critique their channel changing abilities. And it also reminds me of the scene in The Letter where Jerry and Elaine are changing the channel and they're arguing over the clicker. It's like, no, I don't like when you click. You go too fast. And he's like, you wait. And George is say, here, give me the clicker, idiots.
The first thing, Jerry's like, oh, what about that? And Elaine's like, Robert Vaughn, the Helsinki formula? And for years, I always assumed that was a movie.
That's what I thought. Like a World War II kind of movie with like a blimp or something.
Some kind of thriller, suspense movie. But no, sure enough, it was Robert Vaughn, the actor from, the Man from U.N.C.L.E., Superman 3, just a bunch of great movies and TV shows. He used to do infomercials for the Helsinki formula, which was a hair care product, actually.
And what was the particular function that this hair product served?
Well, it was to grow hair, Vinny.
Ah, so it was
The cure for baldness.
slating to rejuvenate thinning hair and battle baldness. Now, who do you suppose would have thought to put that into their show?
Yeah, you wonder, right? Any bald men, in charge of this show? But I actually watched this. There's a clip on YouTube of the original commercial.
Oh, nice.
And it's just fantastic. So we'll
throw it up there. So guess whose birthday's coming up soon?
Is this something we say to each other?
Every May and October, yes.
So, yes, Elaine is sort of prodding at Jerry, hey, it's my birthday coming up. And we got a little bit of plot here. Jerry says that he's having a root canal the same week. And this is sort of, not the heart of the scene, but she mentions that she hopes he is a good oral surgeon, which really made me think of Tim Whatley.
Well, first I thought of Roy the dentist, who we're going to see next season in the note.
Right. Oh,
and then I said, hey, is it Roy or is it Whatley? So maybe I feel like in the Seinfeld universe, in the chronology of everything, he probably went to Roy, and then once he had the falling out with Roy due to the note, he probably hooked up with Whatley.
That's a good point. Good point.
You know how it is. Note how right here that Elaine is very concerned about Jerry's dental care, versus later on in the show, she's gonna flip her view on that.
What do you mean?
So right now she's like, you should really get a good oral surgeon, because that can be very serious. And then later on when they're arguing, Jerry says, but you said it could be serious, and she's like, oh, serious? You're going to the dentist?
It's all your perspective on things.
Hey, look at naked people.
Yeah, suddenly naked people just show up on the TV, and Jerry immediately gets uncomfortable, which, I don't, if you're sitting there with your ex, I think I'd be getting a little uncomfortable too.
Well, I find it funny because Elaine immediately says, been a while. And there's that example that Peter Melman always talks about is sex being discussed in mixed company.
Yeah, they have this great back and forth here where Jerry's saying, I have a vague recollection of doing something with someone, but it was a long, long time ago. Is he talking about Elaine, by the way? Or do you think they're not talking about each other here?
I think they're generalizing. Because then Elaine comes back with, yeah, my last time was in Rochester. My hair was a lot shorter.
Jerry remembers that it was a good thing, and someday he hopes to do it again.
Now, Jerry is the first one to, I think, initiate this whole thing, because he looks at Elaine.
What?
What?
What was that look?
What look?
The look you just gave me?
I gave a look.
Yes.
What kind of a look?
I know that look.
So what was it?
Why should I tell you?
Well, you're the big look expert. I want to see how smart you are.
Trust me, I know the look. So,
What?
what about the look?
I don't know.
You got something on your mind?
No. Things pop into your head. You?
Things occur to me from time to time.
Yeah, me too. Well, you can't expect to just forget the past completely.
Well, no, of course not.
I mean, it's something we did. Probably about, 25 times?
37.
They end up using this dialogue later on in season 4 when they do the pilot. They have the Elaine auditions. Mm-hmm. This is the scene they read.
It's so funny. You can probably, maybe because we're so familiar with the clip shows, you can really kind of compartmentalize all the classic scenes, all the classic interactions between characters. And this is, I think, one of the best Jerry Elaine scenes.
Oh, yeah.
Especially since really her first scene with the M&Ms where she's talking about, what are we going to go do?
Yeah. I think that is so wonderful how they make, Jerry just kind of have a ballpark. He's estimating 25, but Elaine has it to the exact number. That is genius. I love it.
I think this is something we brought up in the previous podcast that they had sex 37 times.
Yes.
I think we were trying to figure out whether or not like that was a lot or Jerry was on the road. I don't know.
We did, because I think we
Why
were talking
we were
about
doing that.
we were talking about how long they dated for.
Yes.
And that seems like a small number, I think.
It's funny because on the DVD, there's actually a great commentary between Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld. And when Elaine says 37, Larry was like, "Whoa, 37!"
Yeah, I remember that.
Like he thought it was high.
But if you think about what we've learned from their relationship throughout the show, they took a trip down to Puerto Rico. They go to weddings together. They met the parents. That seems like, for all those things that have happened during their relationship, it seems like it would have been higher than 37. Why are we analyzing it? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I know we're back to analyzing whether it's a lot or not. So at this point, they're pretty much on the same page, right? They know what they're what they're both thinking about.
They're dancing around the obvious, and
Right.
and they're kind of waiting for the first one to actually. And Jerry's like, "What do you think?"
I like how Jerry breaks it down too. He's like, what's the big deal? We go in there, we're in there for a while, we come back out here, and it's not complicated. And
It's not hard.
but they start. Oh, Vinny.
Yeah.
They realize though that this could be devastating. They're not in complete denial. They realize like, hey, if we have sex, there could be some complications to the friendship. They couldn't go back to being friends, essentially.
I mean, if anything happened and we couldn't be friends the way we are now, that would really be bad.
Devastating.
Because this is very good.
And that would be good.
That would be good too. The idea is to combine the this and the that. But this cannot be disturbed.
Yeah, we just want to take this and add that.
But of course, we'd have to figure out a way to avoid the things that cause the little problems. Maybe some rules or something.
Huh.
For example, now I call you whenever I'm inclined and vice versa.
Right.
But if we did that, we might feel a certain obligation to call.
Well, why should that be? Oh, I have an idea. No calls the day after that.
Beautiful. Let's make it a rule.
All right, sir.
Now here's another little rule.
Yeah.
When we see each other now, we retire to our separate quarters. But sometimes when people get involved with that, they feel pressure to sleep over. When that is not really sleep. Sleep is separate from that. And I don't see why sleep got all tied up and connected with that.
Okay. Rule number 2, spending the night is optional.
Well, now we're getting somewhere.
What do you think about these rules, though, they come up with here? Does this, really pretend you don't know what's going to happen in this episode? Do these rules make sense?
Well, the first one, like as we'll find out that George likes, I think the first one's good in that there's no pressure to have to call the next day, and that's kind of hard and fast. So in terms of alleviating some of the pressure, the relationship pressure. The second one, the spending the night is optional. The fact that it's optional, I feel, is like there's where the first fight's going to happen, and it does. Because two people are not going to always agree on, should we spend the night, should we not?
So they're basically trying to take, like, I guess, can sex be its own act? And that's it. You basically take all the emotion out, basically the intimacy out of it, I think. Like, can you just turn it into an act?
Purely carnal.
Yeah. And then they go on to talk about the kiss goodnight. Jerry says it's Elaine's call. She thinks it's bourgeois, which is great because they're basically just trying to take any kind of, real emotion out of this. Like, can you strip away all of the feelings from sex other than just the physical? Can you take the emotional out of it? Which it's so funny. Like when you sit here thinking about it, you can't. Like it's one and the same. It's physical and emotional, but the way Larry David writes this stuff and the way the actors, deliver it, you believe it. You're like, no, this could work.
Yeah. Have your cake and eat it too.
Oh, sure.
Now, there were other rules that that were written but didn't make it into the show, correct?
Yes.
I thought it'd be cool if we could do a reenactment of one because they actually have the dialogue for it.
All right, who's Elaine in this situation?
I would like to play the part of Elaine, if you don't mind.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's a dream role of yours.
Finally. I feel cute already. You ready?
Go.
Okay. The act of sleeping is a separate and sovereign condition, in no way affiliated with any other behavior.
In order not to be confused with them, meaning couples, let's not even use their terminology. No darlings, sweethearts, or honeys.
In fact, we should impose penalties: $5 for a honey, $10 for a sweetheart, and $20 for a darling.
And $50 for a public display of affection.
Is any affection permissible that is not a direct prelude to that?
I would have to say no.
End scene.
Yeah, there you go. That was great, Vinny.
Yeah.
Little Seinecast theater.
Can we run it back? Can we do it one more time?
Yeah.
There was also an additional rule from an early draft about weekends. It was written that the weekend is not set aside as special time, but sometimes after that comes into the picture, the weekend takes on a special significance, where people feel it's incumbent on them to socialize on a grand scale. Okay, rule number 2, all days are of equal value. No weekend imperative. That's kind of an interesting take as well, because as they discuss in season 4, I believe, is the weekend date implied? You got to call Saturday night, or is it already implied? So, yeah, I think weekends do carry a greater value. That's when people are usually free. That's when, all the restaurants are bumping.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to sort of list these rules to say, oh, well, this one's going to be harder than the other. Let's try to see if we can get through this episode without saying hard or harder.
There we go. Too late.
But
also, I feel like they bit off more than they could chew, but they did it so quickly because they were so eager to want to have the sex that they didn't think it through. And as we see with the finished episode, we only see 2 rules. Did they come up with more? We don't know. We've heard some of the other ones that got cut. But I think they were so eager or so horny to have sex that they didn't think it completely through.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Obviously, I assume Larry's dialogue was probably cut for time, or maybe the scene was just taking too long to really get started. But I agree with the cut stuff, like the rules that they didn't include. I like that, and if runtime weren't an issue, I would love it if they'd included that.
Yeah.
And, the scene, despite being such a classic in the run of Seinfeld, there's some pretty memorable behind-the-scenes trivia between Larry and Julia and one of the producers, Andy Scheinman. So basically, there have been a couple of run-throughs at this point, a couple of rehearsals, and Julia was playing the scene very sexually because that's on the page, and it's pretty obvious that there should be some, sexual energy between the two of these characters. And apparently she looks back on that and says that was the wrong decision to make. It really shouldn't have been played sexually. Apparently there was a lot of pressure by Castle Rock to make it sexy, and during the actual filming of the scene, Julia and Jerry were actually right next to each other on the couch. They weren't on either ends. They were right next to each other. And this was sort of making it more of an intimate scene than...
There was a lot of debate as to what the blocking was. Should they be touching, sitting on the couch together, or be separate? And the network execs wanted them to be closer to display that intimacy factor, right?
Right.
But Larry thought that was not funny. He didn't think that was... His instincts told him that's not going to work. They need to be far apart.
Right. The scene in general wasn't working. They have to be on opposite sides of the couch, and everyone was complaining, "Oh, there's no heat," and Larry's like, "Well, that's the point."
Good Larry. That's
a
good Larry.
Oh, all right. You don't want it to be just hit you over the head. Funny. This is a transaction between the two of them. This isn't the two of them falling in love with each other or.
It's purely sex. Mm-hmm. Plus, for purely the reason of function. When they turn to each other and do the this and the that, those hand motions, they wouldn't be able to pull that off if they were sitting side by side on the couch. They had to be separate to have their hands room to breathe. Plus, they're not in any kind of intimate state in their relationship now. So why would they be sitting touching?
Great point. Exactly. It's a bit unprecedented, and I don't really think we see that throughout the rest of the show. Any kind of reason they would be close to each other. So if we didn't make it clear earlier, Jerry and Elaine head to the bedroom, and love it how Elaine just bumps right into the bookcase. She's obviously a little nervous.
Oh, that is so good. So you think you can handle this?
So the next morning at Jerry's apartment, Jerry's pouring some OJ, and, the K-man comes in looking for the newspaper.
Did you notice how he came into the apartment?
No, I didn't.
He comes in unlocking the door with keys.
Does he?
Yes.
I didn't even pick up on that.
Yeah, but he enters in very, casually, but he's unlocking the door with keys, which got me kind of thinking, was that a setup to season 3, the keys?
Mm-hmm.
That to kind of show Kramer does have Jerry's spare set of keys?
I mean, I think from a story point of view, it's like, hey, it's early in the morning. How would Kramer get in? I think it was like kind of like a way to get him into the apartment easier, but
then later on, Jerry doesn't want to. Or no, I'm sorry. No, I'm completely out of. I was thinking of when Jerry had the when Jerry had the apartments being fumigated sign. He's like, I thought that was so your parents wouldn't go in there while you're with a girl. But then Kramer ended up going in, so never mind. That's moot. Sorry.
No, it still made me laugh. It's all good. Kramer's being a little pushy here because Jerry hasn't gotten the paper yet, again, for Kramer to mooch off of. And suddenly Elaine walks out of the bedroom. She's got on that purple shirt and the white shoes. You
know how some people have that Princess Leia fantasy or...
Oh, God.
I'm sorry.
Let's mute the mics.
I know. Let's cut that out.
I'm leaving it in.
Don't do it.
What's your fantasy, Elaine? Big oversized purple shirt?
Big white sneakers, the blue shirt, and the wild hair.
It's so hard to talk about this in an audio podcast, but I love Kramer's reaction to seeing Elaine.
He's flustered. He's flummoxed.
Oh, he's all over the place, and then I love it at the end. He's like happy, he's excited.
Yeah.
As he leaves the apartment. Oh. Also, something interesting that was brought up on the commentary on the DVD was Jerry pointed out that Michael is wearing an amber stone necklace in this scene. You can see it because his robe is open. And apparently, I didn't realize this at all, but Jerry says that Michael wore that necklace throughout the entire series.
Really?
Yeah, so this is something I really want to keep an eye out for, especially in the scenes where he's, shirtless, he's rollerblading in LA, or he's in the hot tub. I want to see if this necklace is consistent throughout the entire show. Two
things come to mind. I remember when he's in the sauna with Sal Bass, and then also with Jerry and George. I recall him wearing a necklace. Right. And then also the butter shave, right? When he's on the roof.
There you
getting
go.
Some sun with the butter. I recall that necklace as well.
I mean, this could all be, disproved in just like with one screen grab, but yeah. I wonder though.
Wait a second, it's not there here. Okay, sorry.
I do like to think though that there was some, I don't want to say continuity, but for whatever reason, Michael thought like, hey, this should be a part of Kramer's costume, no matter what else is going on. So next scene is at Monk's, and George is, just chit-chatting with Jerry. This time it's about Aquaman and whether he could walk on land or if he was constricted to water. I
also thought that was kind of a really telegraphed setup. What's the deal with Aquaman? It was telegraphed.
Very much so. Almost like you had the whole scene and it's like, oh, crap, we need some way to get into this scene.
But we just had a just flawless back and forth between Jerry and Elaine. Now we're going to get the same thing, but with George and Jerry, which we're 2 for 2 here.
And I texted you while we were watching these episodes.
You did.
This just reminds me so much of our time in college when we went to school together. And I was saying actually, since we've gone a little bit older, we're not that much wiser, but I really miss the conversations we used to have where we'd share details and really I don't know
details yeah.
It was great. We would grab some coffee, grab some food, and this is a little weird from a podcasting perspective because we're about to give details about someone else giving details about something that happened. But
so how's the job situation going?
Still looking. Pretty bad out there. What about you?
Nothing much. I slept with Elaine last night.
Oxygen! I need some oxygen! This is major!
I thought you'd like that.
Oh, this is huge!
I know.
All right, okay, let's go. Details.
Nah, I can't give details.
You what?
I can't give details.
No details?
I'm not in the mood.
You asked me here to have lunch, tell me you slept with Elaine, and then say you're not in the mood for details. Now, you listen to me. I want details, and I want them right now. I don't have a job. I have no place to go. You're not in the mood? Well, you get in the mood.
So one thing that kind of bugs me is that I know it's funnier that Jerry's not in the mood for details. But I can't believe he's just so nonchalant about sleeping with Elaine the previous night. You know what I mean? Like, if that would happen to me and I had this good fortune, I'd be on cloud 9 the next day, right? But then I would probably be thinking of it as I got back together with her, not we just had sex
Right.
as friends. So anyway.
It's very unique, though, because it's not like, oh, hey, I hooked up with my ex last night or something like that. It's this friend of ours that we know so well, like, we hooked up.
Yeah.
You know what
it's
I mean?
It's a big deal.
Oh, yeah, it's really big. And it is kind of just weird in general that, like, George isn't weirded out or George isn't, I don't know.
He wants details, that little perv.
If we're talking about the tape episode where George was in love with Elaine, you know, he might be really jealous.
That's right.
So it's an interesting sort of relationship Jerry and George have at this point, and the fact that George isn't weirded out. If anything, he's just excited, you know, about the details. Maybe the fact that he knows Elaine, you know, that just adds a little bit more drama to the situation.
Well, he even says, so what are you feeling? What are you, like a couple now? So I think he would like to see them get together, as he does say when he gives up sex, right?
In the abstinence?
Yeah, and he says, I've always wanted to see the two of you get together.
Oh, your favorite line?
Well, that's because you're an idiot. I use that on you all the time.
All the time.
I also
the time.
I also thought it was funny at the end of the scene, George gets really amped up. He's like, you're not in the mood, you get in the mood. Didn't it sound like he was working on his Jack Nicholson right there? Little bit.
I could see that.
From A Few Good Men.
Jerry gets into the details. They were in his apartment. They were sitting on the couch.
Next to each other?
Separate. And they, you know, it happened around 11. And I love how George is just, you know, he needs everything specific. Time, place.
He's gushing
together,
now.
separate.
And he's like, okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
He's so happy.
So excited. And Jerry brings up how Elaine turned to the naked station, and this little bit here about George saying, oh, that's why I don't have TV, because of the naked station. Otherwise, he'd never turn it off, sleep, or eat. You know, firemen would have to break in. He'd be sitting there with drool down his face. And it just made me think, oh, my God, you know, if George were around, you know, in this year with internet porn, and
God.
He wouldn't do anything. He'd never leave the house.
It's funny. We actually get to see a visualization of this in The Summer of George, when George refuses to leave the confines of his comfy chair and he's just watching TV. He's got potato chips. I mean, it's not quite the same, but I could see him being stuck to the couch watching the naked station.
That's a great point.
Thank you.
And he also, you know, even tells Elaine in the Serenity Now, I think, in season 9, where he's trying to sell computers, and he's like, "There's porn."
Nevertheless, yeah, good point. Yeah.
So I mean, I guess porn does enter George's life at some point, but
porn in quotes. I'm so lucky to have a friend like you, George. There was also, again, it was a throwaway line, but when George says that, boy, these are some really bad details. Originally, it was a longer rant, and George would go on to say, I have to say, over the years, your details have really gone to the dogs. I mean, there was a time when you could keep people on the edge of their chair for 45, 50 minutes. So, again, I understand why I was cut.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we can never be accused of that, because our details go into the, like, hour 40, hour 50 realm.
2 hours worth.
George does, you know, criticize Jerry on the topic of, you know, poor details. You know, Jerry's like, oh, I'm getting a little too old for details. And this is a line, a very, I think, like, this line isn't quoted that much, but George says, oh, I hate to hear this. That kind of growth really irritates me. And I love that. That's a great George line.
And very telling. We fear change. So Jerry says, well, I'll tell you that it was really passionate. And that got me thinking, was it really passionate, or was it Elaine faking again?
This bit of dialogue, like, I thought was the most interesting of this entire scene, just because I would argue that it was passionate only because of the just the excitement, you know, of one, having sex with someone, but the not the taboo, but kind of like, ooh, we used to do this and now we shouldn't be doing this again. I think that kind of elevates the excitement and maybe the passion. Yeah. But when he goes on to say, oh, she's better than before, she must have taken some kind of seminar, I think that sounds really shitty coming from Jerry, because as we know, from, later episodes and just the character as a whole, he's the one, I would argue, with the sex issues. Like, he's the one that wasn't able to pleasure Elaine the way, she wanted to be.
So when Jerry says she must have taken a seminar, for some reason it popped into my head that maybe she took a class from the Meryl Streep School of Acting.
Oh, God. But do you think she was faking it in this scene? She must have.
Initially, I did, just because she said she didn't have him back then. But because she was so giddy and so excited, like, she seems really excited at this prospect of them getting together. So I could see it being a passionate thing, not a faking.
I don't want to like lump girls in one category and guys into another, but it seems like from this act of having sex and later on in the episode, I think Jerry is taking is walking away from the experience, like just thinking about the sex, and Elaine is walking away thinking about the emotional kind of connection she had with Jerry, because as we'll talk about later, it really is, I think, Elaine sort of fueling that. I don't know, she's kind of breaking the rules a little bit, or not following the rules they originally set up. So I don't think Elaine was really going into this from the same point of view that Jerry was.
Or she didn't expect to have her feelings change.
And then we get into the issue, which makes George just crack up laughing, that Jerry and Elaine are going to try to do this once in a while and still be friends. And George has this wonderful rant. We should play a clip, actually.
We've tried to arrange a situation where we'll be able to do this once in a while and still be friends. What?
Where are you living? Are you here? Are you on this planet? It's impossible. It can't be done. Thousands of years, people have been trying to have their cake and eat it too. So all of a sudden, the two of you are going to come along and do it. Where do you get the ego?
You notice how awkward fitting his shirt was?
He didn't.
It's untucked, but it's really short, so it'd be impossible for him to tuck in. And I don't know.
Tuck in.
It just looked weird.
Well, this rant of George's, and it's, I think, more because it's Jason and it's his acting, but just the way George is talking here and the kind of dialogue he has to work with it kind of reminded me of the pilot conversation. This is the signal, Jerry. This is the signal. Where he's like, and a little bit also of he's Keith Hernandez. You're Jerry Seinfeld. Like that whole idea of ego. Like, where do you come off?
I think there's an overconfidence here and an arrogance, but for once, I think George is in the right. He's certain that you can't pull this off. You guys are, biting off more than you can chew, but I think George is absolutely right.
So Jerry goes on to tell George about the rules.
All right. Tell me the rules.
Okay. No calls the next day.
So you have the sex. Next day you don't have to call. It's pretty good. Go ahead.
You ready for the second one?
I have to tell you, I'm very impressed with the first one.
Spending the night. Optional.
Now, you see, you got greedy.
No, that's the rule. It's optional.
I know less about women than anyone in the world. But the one thing I do know is that they are not happy if you don't spend the night. It could be a hot, sweaty room with no air conditioning, and all they have is a little army cot this wide. You're not going anywhere.
I think you're wrong.
I hope I am.
I really like how after the first rule, George mutters under his breath, and he's kind of taken aback by it. He's like, so you have the sex, and the next day you don't call. It's pretty good. So even George is like, wow, they may have something here. But then once that second one comes, he's back to being arrogant and, yeah, you guys screwed up, got greedy.
Could you really have the system work if you only had the, no call the next day? If that was the only rule. I don't feel like that's enough. You need more rules to hopefully keep this in check.
Absolutely.
Next scene is at Elaine's apartment. It's pretty big deal here, right? Because this is the first time we're seeing not just Elaine's bedroom as we saw in the busboy, but we're seeing the majority of Elaine's apartment here, like
Right.
the kitchen, the living room, all of that.
We also see her in her nighttime attire, and so we're at what number? We're at number 39 now.
39. Oh, yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Correct.
We're at least at 39 here.
We should have an Elaine and Jerry sex counter on the show
Well, I think it only happens, one more time after
with
this?
the mango.
Or no, I'm sorry, one
No.
time at the end.
Yeah.
So they
40, 41.
41. Not bad.
Yeah. Well, and then if we
So what are we doing here? Oh, your thoughts of Elaine's place, though? It kind of reminds me of her bedroom a little bit, just in terms of a lot of
yeah.
knickknacks, kind of.
right, it's homey. It's really actually wide open, but
Yeah.
for the sake of TV. But yeah, I didn't even think to connect that we saw her bedroom in the busboy versus now we see the entire layout. That's a good call.
It seems really big, though. Like, the thing I always loved about Jerry's apartment,
Yeah.
despite being kind of wide by New York apartment standards, it did seem realistic. The idea of, okay, you have a little kitchen,
Yeah.
you have a couch, you have a table. You know, Elaine seems pretty big,
It's-
but she
it's-
does have a roommate.
Yes. Oh, yeah, right.
Speaking of, Jerry's eating a slice of Tina's cake, and Elaine's putting some wine glasses in the sink when, Jerry just casually says, I'm going to get going because I have that root canal the next morning. And, God, that look on Elaine's face, right? She just starts pulling
Yep.
all the paper towel out, and it doesn't stop.
Which I know, forgive me for going into this already, but she's pulling out all this paper towels, right? Now, it's purely because she's stunned that Jerry wants to leave, right?
I know exactly where you're going with this because I made the same note.
But then I'm like, they just finished having sex, and she's pulling a lot of paper towels, like, because she goes into the bedroom with those paper towels.
Yeah, she goes straight to the bedroom and she sets them down somewhere and she comes out without them. So
Yeah.
she was cleaning up something.
Right. But we don't know. But
you don't know
it's
what's
just
going
funny to imagine. Is that why?
We sound like some pretty immature kids right now.
Yep.
What was going on in that room? Well, so they start arguing and Jerry, says, "Hey, I thought sleeping over was optional," and Elaine argues that it was, depending on whose house it is, which was that part of the rule?
They didn't mention that earlier.
They never mentioned that, but I guess it's just something she kind of assumed.
Well, because she's angry, she's now just making up stuff. It's my house, it's my option.
Sure.
That's got nothing to do with it.
Because she's so desperate for that emotional, that comfort, that connection with Jerry, not just having this be like a physical act.
Yeah. So Elaine says, "Just go," and then Jerry says, "I'm having surgery tomorrow." To which Elaine responds, "Oh, surgery? You're going to the dentist." So there's that switch. She's mad now. So now she's not concerned about Jerry's oral health care.
No, not at all. And suddenly,
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Jerry.
Hi.
Such a great improv class tonight.
Oh, really?
I did this improv where I pretended I was working in one of those booths, in an amusement park where you have to shoot the water in the clown's mouth and you blow up the balloon.
Tina, could you excuse us for just 1 second?
Oh, yeah. I'll excuse you.
The funny thing about this is I didn't notice a laugh track in this episode, and then Tina comes in, and there's no response from the audience, where I thought the fact that she came in saying hi, that the audience would have some sort of reaction to it.
interesting.
But there was nothing. And then it's not until later, I don't even know when it happens, but later in the scene, you finally hear some audience laughter. So I think the audience is taking this very seriously.
This episode, as we'll talk about in the, somewhat the last scene where it gets very serious, probably the most serious ever in the entire series. I find at least the audience is chuckling a little bit, maybe because it's so awkward or it's so tense. Whereas if you go back to the stakeout when Jerry and Elaine have a similar conversation about, flirting with someone in front of the other person, it gets really serious there too. And it's not funny at all. So despite being really dramatic and the audience taking things seriously, there is a nice kind of sprinkle of jokes in this. Simon Fallon as Tina.
Yep.
She was on SNL after appearing on Seinfeld. So, and I know her from somewhere.
2 roles that I love her in. The first one is Forrest Gump. She plays the bus driver at the end. But the second one, it's such a memorable character, and her delivery of a line is something we always say and we joke about it because I think we love both characters. But she plays Beatrice in Men in Black, and the scene where Vincent D'Onofrio's character Edgar, who the alien assumes his skin, he walks in and he's like, "Sugar in water," and she goes, "Edgar, your skin is hanging off your bones." And I love that. We always say that. I love that line, and I love her. But yeah, now she's from Seinfeld.
She, I think, really kind of saves this scene from like a comedic standpoint.
Yeah.
Because without her, it's like you were saying, the audience is taking it pretty seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's kind of hard like to sort of feel anything, because who wants to tune into a show that always makes them laugh to watch, like a melodrama unfold?
Right.
Despite, how I think realistic the situation is, and I think people could relate to it, it's not like, I don't know.
It's kind of how Everyone Loves Raymond ended, because it was all like laugh, 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 and then there's like a cancer scare in the finale. And it got really serious, a lot of tears. I granted the show's ending, but I remember it getting really dramatic towards the end of Everyone Loves Raymond.
Oh, geez.
Just to note, Tina went on to play, Saiban Fallon went on to play Tina in 3 episodes of Seinfeld, The Deal. Then she came back next season in The Truth, and then she finished up her run in The Opposite. But I think she is just the perfect adversary for Elaine, and you can see how she presses Elaine's button. Such a good improv class, and she's sipping on that water bottle. And the fact that she ends up dating Kramer, it's great.
This is a character that kind of like we brought up, Alton Bennis and Harold.
Manny.
Oh, forget Manny.
Just
I'm just talking
Harold,
about Harold. Sorry,
Ooh.
Manny. No. But yeah, like these characters who, make their first appearance in season 2, I would have loved to have seen them like once, maybe twice throughout the entire series. Like it would have been perfect. It actually really surprised me that we only see Tina for a total of 3 times in this entire show, because because it's so spread out that it feels like more.
She's also referenced earlier where we hear her and see her, we hear about her, but we don't see her on screen. Where Elaine talks about she's still doing that version of Hair. God, I hope I get it. I hope I get it.
Or that's a chorus line.
Excuse me. Thank you.
So Jerry and Elaine, they kind of patch things up a little bit. He's saying, "I'm not going to leave if you're mad," and she promises that she's not, which is an obvious lie.
Now that portion of this episode I can relate to.
Yeah, who can't in a relationship, right? Whenever the other person's upset and they don't admit it, or they don't want to.
I've done it too.
Yeah. You know what, Vinny? In our friendship, I have to say that we are probably hetero life mates for each other.
Yes.
And
I'm the silent Bob of that.
And
you used to introduce me in college. You'd be like, "Hey, I'm Matt, and this is my hetero life mate, Vinny." You used to do that. Do you remember?
I do remember that.
I like that.
So, Jerry leaves, or he's about to leave, and he tries to kiss Elaine goodnight, but she reminds him of
the rules. She gets the pullback.
Right.
Or she gives the pullback.
I like that. I like seeing Elaine being the, look at me, withholding. Is that the term?
Yes. So notice how as Jerry's exiting the scene, you hear Tina in the background say, "Who took my cake?" And then as Jerry's leaving, he's got a tiny little smirk on his face. Did you see that?
I think this is something that Jerry Seinfeld has he hasn't coined it, but it is such a Jerry move that you tilt your head, you open your eyes, and you just sort of, turn like, "Oh boy," or "Uh-oh, I'm not getting involved."
But to be enjoying the situation that you're in, this comedic situation, he's eating it up, and it makes it so gratifying to the viewer.
Absolutely. We go to commercial, and let's take a short break.
Robert Vaughn discovers the Helsinki formula, which contains and refers to the active ingredient studied at the University of Helsinki for hair loss.
On my latest Robert Vaughn Discovers program, we examined a revolutionary new breakthrough in hair regrowth. Can a product actually stop hair loss? Can you rejuvenate hair growth? We spoke live with doctors from around the world who have experienced results.
definitely recommend it to anyone who would like to see hair growth.
The manufacturer of the Helsinki formula answered our questions on how it works.
It cleanses the tissues around the follicle, and often when that happens, the follicle's allowed to regenerate. It's just unplugged.
But the actual results that people have are always the most important.
Now I have good hair here, and I have a regrowth over here.
It just keeps coming in. I'm pretty happy with the Helsinki product. And sure enough, it's worked for me.
The Helsinki formula, the internationally acclaimed new product breakthrough. As always, we invite you to discover for yourself.
The Helsinki formula. To order on your Visa or MasterCard, just call toll-free 1-800-225-2800. This safe and effective treatment is not a drug and is only $39.95 plus $4 postage and handling. To order direct, write Pantron 1, 8663 West Sahara, The Lakes, Nevada. Or call toll-free 1-800-225-2800. The full 3-month supply is simple to use and comes with a complete money-back guarantee. That's toll-free 1-800-225-2800.
We're back.
George and Jerry are out shopping. They're at some kind of gift shop, and they're trying to figure out what to get Elaine for her birthday, right?
And this is that third, quintessential scene of this episode.
Oh, really? You think so?
Yeah, the way they're going back and the way they're interpreting how each gift will go over. Mm-hmm. This makes it, I think, the third classic scene in this episode.
So George suggests jewelry, which I think makes sense, but at the same time, due to his situation, Jerry says he has to be very careful, doesn't want to send the wrong message. And, whatever he gets Elaine, she's going to be bringing in experts from all over the country to interpret the meaning behind it,
that's fantastic.
Timeless, man.
So
I mean, I think until our extinction as the human race, this is going to be happening between couples around the world.
And I think I heard her say something about a bench.
Right. It's funny. Every time I've seen this episode, and when Elaine does get the bench later on, I always forget the setup for it. Wait, when was this talked about? Because Elaine never mentions a bench.
That would have been really cool if a couple episodes back, Larry David had her mention, I kind of want this bench.
I guess Jerry does go on to explain that George has to, whatever he gets her, George has to spend half.
Do you subscribe to that rule?
I don't think I've ever really been in a situation like this where I would overshadow your gift to someone that you were attracted to or vice versa. But I get this. This does make sense.
Yeah.
Just because of, Jerry's kind of in the doghouse too, a little bit.
Well, yes. And as we're going to see, so if George gives half, so he's at 0.5, Jerry gives a 1, Kramer ends up giving a 1.5 or a 2. And, look what happens.
Yeah, exactly. Good point. So George, kind of frustrated with the whole situation, they're like, just forget about the bench. He starts listing off items in the store.
I got it. You want to get us something nice? What about a music box?
Nah, too relationship-y. She opens it up, she hears that Laura's theme, I'm dead.
Okay. So what about a nice frame with a picture of another guy in it? The frame says, I care for you, but if you want to get serious, perhaps you'd be interested in someone like this.
Nice-looking fella.
What about candle holders?
Too romantic.
Lingerie?
Too sexual.
Waffle maker?
Too domestic.
Bust of Nelson Rockefeller?
Too gubernatorial.
Let's work on the card.
So I guess right out the gate, we should maybe play a little clip of Laura's theme here for those of you that aren't familiar with it.
AKA Somewhere My Love.
This is the love theme from Dr. Zhivago, which is...
It's on cable in 5 minutes.
But let's go over all the ideas that George has. You have the music box, which we just mentioned, a nice frame, which I don't understand. Jerry doesn't really say that's not a good idea.
No, that's the only one he doesn't have a critique of. He just says, nice looking fella.
I can't put stock into just one item. I usually get several gifts for
Multiples,
someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that always seems to be like a good gift for someone, whether you're in a serious relationship or maybe like a casual relationship, a frame picture of the two of you.
Oh, if there's somebody in the frame, not if it's just a frame.
No. Yeah.
That's what I thought you were getting at.
No.
What did George mean that to give a picture of because he says here, I don't want to commit, but in case you want to, how about this guy, right?
Yeah.
Because that's how I interpreted it. But if you give a picture of the two of them, that's a better gift. Never mind.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know. That's just from my experience. I always thought that was sort of like a nice gesture because thinking of the other person, it's not heavy. As Jerry goes on to say, candle holders too romantic, lingerie too sexual. There's no real pressure with the picture frame.
You actually gave me a framed picture of Jerry and Kramer when Kramer has a dream about pneumonium, and Kramer wakes up in a cold sweat, and he's like, Jerry? And he grabs this framed picture on the mantle, and it's Kramer and Jerry at like a New Year's party.
Yeah.
And he starts
like toasting the camera.
He starts clutching it like as if he's cuddling a baby to sleep, and he's like, and he cries himself back to sleep. But I have that picture on my mantle.
Yeah, that was a tough image to screen grab. I wish there were like high res images of the photos in Seinfeld, like available, the props and whatnot. Because oh my god, I would pay plenty for a nice print.
That would be lining my apartment. Was just Seinfeld stuff.
George goes on to list, of course, the waffle maker, which we already played the clip of, a bust of Nelson Rockefeller, and George being frustrated, says, all right, let's just work on the card.
And that was also discussed in more detail. George complained that it took him 2.5 hours to come up with a line for his 8-year-old niece's birthday card. And then he would go on to say that gift giving is getting out of hand and proceeds to mention 10 different gift-giving holidays. And Jerry replies, I know, and I still can't rap.
And next scene, we get a little bit of stand-up.
I had to buy a gift for someone. The hardest part to me is that card. That card is a killer. I never know what it's supposed to say. And it's getting so tough because the relationships are becoming so complicated. Greeting card companies now put out cards that are blank on the inside. Nothing, no message. I mean, it's like the card company says, we give up, you think of something. For 75 cents, I don't want to get involved.
I do like this one because the way Jerry caps it with, these cards are getting frustrated. They're saying, we give up, you think of something.
This reminds me a lot of, I don't know if I think it's stand-up for the opening of the Pledge Drive episode with the Hallmark cards.
I was going to talk about that. Yeah, I
pay some Hallmark hooker to do the job for you. But that is interesting how this idea of cards, that definitely feels like Jerry material. This feels a little shoehorned in. I don't know. Yeah. I feel like I say that every week.
No.
And next scene, we're at Jerry's apartment with Jerry and Elaine. He's giving her the gift. She's very excited.
She seems to be in a better mood than last time we saw her.
Yeah. She's, I doubt she's, forgotten or forgiven him. Well, maybe she forgave him a little bit, but I think the birthday's got her pretty excited here because she's been reminding him every day for the past 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
He goes to get the card while she opens up the gift and she's throwing out the tissue paper. And why don't you take it from here?
Cash? You got me cash? What are you, my uncle?
This is $182 there. It's nothing to sneeze at.
First of all, I use that line all the time. When somebody downplays something, I say, hey, that's nothing to sneeze at. And nobody ever gets it, which makes it that much more enjoyable for me. Secondly, we have a really weird relationship. So last year, Matt and his wife came down to visit me for my birthday, and I had this nice big box, really nicely wrapped with a bow on it.
Actually, it wasn't your birthday. It was when you graduated pharmacy school.
Thank you. See, I'm already forgetting. Hey, you're not important enough to remember. Okay, just graduated pharmacy school. Matt came down to celebrate with me, and I get this big box. It was like the size of a shoebox. It was huge, and it's got a bow.
It was about the same size as the box Elaine was opening, I would say.
Oh, how fitting! But I'm digging in there. There's nothing really I can grasp, and then I move some tissue paper around, and there's a big stack of cash, and I immediately knew what it was, and my response was
cash.
You got me cash, and Matt came back with that's $182. That's nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, there you go. So cross that off the Seinfeld bucket list.
I was hoping your wife would have got me $91, but she didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was a group gift. Well, have we done any other gifts in the past where we gave Seinfeld themed gifts like that? like as if they were gifted on the show.
Well, and I posted this on Facebook and Twitter a few weeks back, but we had Christmas or Festivus.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, I put together like some goodie bags of
Which was delicious.
Food and props from the show, but I can't really think. Oh, you gave me the plyometric. Is it plyometrics?
I did the plyometric shoes.
Right, you gave me those. I think that might be about it.
Okay.
I can't really think of any other. I mean, other than like merchandise here or there,
Yeah.
that's Seinfeld, like a Seinfeld product. But in terms of like a real life,
Yeah, I was talking about something a gift that was given on the show,
mm-hmm.
given in real life would be nice.
Yeah,
Oh,
I do have.
You gave me the Pez dispenser, the Tweety Bird Pez dispenser.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, I have that on my show.
I didn't know that.
Thanks for remembering.
Well, actually, I gave my Tweety Bird Pez dispenser to another friend of mine, and
Oh, you want it back now? Is that what you're saying?
no, I didn't. I don't have one now, and I was just looking for one in the store.
If you want it
and
back,
I
you can just ask me, Matt. It's
all
okay.
right, can I have it back?
What do you want, those regifters? All right, let's move along.
All right. So Elaine asks for the card. A little frustrated here.
Let me see the card. To a wonderful girl, a great pal, and more.
Hey. Oh, Elaine, I'm glad you're here. Stay right here. I'm gonna be right back. Stay.
Pal? You think I'm your pal?
I said, and more.
I am not your pal.
What's wrong with pal? Why is everybody so down on pal?
That greeting, the salutation in Elaine's birthday card from Jerry, to a wonderful girl, a great pal, and more. Do you think Jerry wrote that, or was that the greeting card company that wrote that?
That's a good question. For a long time, I thought Jerry wrote that, but looking back to his stand-up and just Jerry like trying to stay neutral in this whole thing,
Yeah,
it probably was the card company.
because if Jerry wrote that, that's just suicidal, I think.
Yeah, but at the same time, he read it and he's like, "Oh, this is nice."
And more.
Exactly. But yeah, he probably just signed his name, if anything.
Yeah. But then Kramer comes in, unbeknownst to him, he just wants to give a really good gift, which is something I really like about his character. One of his character traits is he's very attuned to people's birthdays, and he likes to give gifts. And that's something the writers have commented on during commentaries, where it's a nice little touch of Kramer that when he does have money, he likes to pick up the check, and he's very, he likes having he likes his friends to have a good time, but he loves giving good birthday gifts. Just like he gave Jerry a 2-line phone. Happy birthday, buddy.
No matter what, though, it'll always screw someone over.
Oh, what is this?
Yeah.
You got me something?
Yeah, open.
Oh,
This.
Kramer! Oh, the bench! You got me the bench that I wanted!
It's pretty good, huh?
Great.
You remember when we were standing there and she mentioned it? I made a mental note of it.
Well, goody for you.
Oh, yeah. See, I'm very sensitive about that. I mean, someone's birthday comes up, I keep my ears open. So what'd you get her?
$182.
Cash? You gotta be kidding. What kind of gift is that? That's like something her uncle would give her.
Think where man's glory most begins and ends, and say my glory was I had such a friend.
Yates.
When Elaine reads that quote from Yates, and Kramer does this great thing where he turns his head so slowly and with the utmost confidence, looks at Jerry and says, Yates. It's so it's so good.
And you don't get the vibe at all that he's rubbing this in Jerry's face at all. Like
No.
there's not a malevolent bone in his body. Like
No.
he is not trying to screw him over or look like the better guy.
I think he's just excited that he could give Elaine a nice birthday. It just so happened that they were in the middle of something, to which Jerry asks, do you mind? We're kind of in the middle of something. And then Kramer excuses himself saying, oh, the relationship.
In regards to that poem by W.B. Yeats, in the context of the show, I always found it. Oh, by the way, I that gift I gave you, the cash. Didn't I write this? Did I write this in the card?
I think you did.
Or did I do the? I know. I'm sorry. I did the wonderful girl, a great pal, and more.
Okay, so next year I expect a Yates card, please.
Okay. I always thought it was kind of like cheesy in the context of this show, but the poem itself is part of something called the Municipal Gallery Revisited that Yates wrote, and it was written late in his life, and it was inspired by a trip to an art gallery when he realized, a lot of these paintings that he was just, observing were either of or by friends of his who had since died. And I was just reading the poem as a whole, and it's really moving.
Oh.
If we get real here for a second, I'll include it in our show notes, and I think everyone should, when you're done listening to the podcast, maybe, check it out and give it a read. But it's really good here, and despite the drama that goes with the poem, it's kind of like a nice way to talk about like the show as a whole. This idea of, and say my glory was I had such a friend. Like, even though these people hate each other, maybe we're looking more at the actors as close as they were on this show. Like,
yes.
I really feel like it says a lot about the cast, because these people were just so perfect for one another and so perfect for the show. It just,
they complemented each other so well.
That line just gets a little meta.
Well, the thing. Well, I'll save it for the finale. Never mind. I don't want to say it now.
Real quick before we move on the commentary on the DVD, which we talked about earlier, Jerry and Larry David were on it, and Larry mentioned, and this was kind of like an aside. He's not a very, I don't want to say he just lets anything come out of his mouth, but he's not fitting to a script or exactly what's on screen. But he told Jerry that he got Lori a bench once. And I'm like, who's Lori? And Lori is David's now ex-wife, but at the time they were married, they got married in 93. So I think at some point, either like when this episode was written or after the fact, Larry David bought his wife a bench. So I don't know if that inspired this episode or he was inspired by this episode.
Huh.
Probably the former.
That's neat.
Yeah.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and by the time the commentary was recorded, she was still his wife.
Yes.
They didn't separate until after, because this was recorded in 2004, 2003?
Yeah, I'd say like 2004. So, and I think they divorced maybe like 2009, 2010.
Okay.
So yeah, neat little maybe life imitating art imitating life.
Good find, buddy.
So as you mentioned, Kramer leaves because he knows they're going to talk about their relationship, and now we get into, it's not as bad as I remembered it, but one of my least favorite moments in the entire series.
Well, it starts off wonderfully because Elaine walks very slowly to the counter, but she has to flaunt that card right in front of Jerry's face, saying, "This is what you should have got me, you ass."
And you like this though, like to you, this feels like Seinfeld. This doesn't feel like some other show.
It doesn't feel like Seinfeld per se, in what we've grown accustomed to, but I like the realistic emotion of it. This is real life, and that's what Seinfeld is kind of based on, is discussing the little intricacies of life, right?
Even though this is like,
it goes against
very
the no
dramatic.
hugging. Yes, it is, but yeah, you're right. But again, this is the first 3 seasons of Seinfeld. Kind of delve into the dramatic more so than we'll see in 4 through 9.
But I guess we can say though that you don't feel as maybe uncomfortable as I do watching this kind of stuff.
No, I do have a soul. Yes.
So Jerry thinks they should forget the whole deal, go back to being friends. Obviously, this isn't going to work out, and yeah, I think this is the moment here where Elaine's like, I can't. It's just so to me, it like just sucks all of the I don't want to say the humor out of the show, but just all the life out of the show. And not in a good way. Like, it's just, to me, I find it very deflating, this scene.
Well, they're on the verge of breaking up and not being friends anymore.
Yeah.
I did think it was interesting when Jerry said, "We got along beautifully, like clams." That means they said they never had one fight before this deal. So that means they were one of those couples that never fought, which I found really interesting.
Which is probably a reason why they maybe could stay friends after the breakup.
Exactly. There was never a dull moment in the conversation. But what would have caused them to break up then, other than we heard there was problems with the physical chemistry, and that when they somehow sleep together, they don't know how to be friends? Those are the only 2 things we have to go on as to why their relationship didn't work.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they're just they're just really good friends. Like they just have so much in common, but the sex wasn't good, and they're not
better
going to lie to
suited.
each other and say, "Hey, I'm going to be with someone who doesn't
Do it for me.
do it for me." Exactly.
Also, Jerry pointed out to his mom and dad in the stakeout that he's looking. He likes looking. So how long are you going to look for? Going for the record.
There was a moment here too that if we have to tie everything into our own personal lives, when Jerry realizes, oh, no this, no that, and then he goes, oh boy.
Oh boy,
that, yeah. Oh, I mean, we're always saying, oh, we always say this in our life, but
you said it this morning.
But yeah, we say oh boy all the time. This is definitely one of our most quoted Seinfeld lines. Now, ultimately, this is just leading up to Elaine wanting this, that, and the other, which kind of what this whole discussion is based around,
Yes.
You want this, and you want to add that, and that's it. But the other, that thing that actually makes us humans, because...
We all want the other.
Oh, sure. The other, actually, is what takes you into old age, man. The other is what, is what you find in a soulmate, and
because that is going to fade. Well, hopefully it doesn't, but that may dissipate over time.
Oh, absolutely. And I think Jerry just is kind of being selfish here. He's not thinking of the future. He's just thinking in the moment. Elaine's thinking of long-term relationship here.
See how nice she is?
Yeah, she's great. And we awkwardly get out of this scene with neither of them talking. We go to Monk's, where George and Jerry are talking here.
Yeah, so George points out that those birthdays, I told you, they're relationship killers. Any problems you're having in the relationship, a birthday will always bring it out. George would also say that weekend trips are relationship killers in the stock tip.
Right, when Jerry went to Vermont with Vanessa.
Yes.
It didn't really work out.
So something else that was not included in this episode, but was in an early draft, was that George revealed that, remember he was dating Carol from the phone message, the one we adored?
One of our favorites, actually.
She was cute as a button.
One of the most probably forgettable girgirlfriends, but yeah, we really liked her.
You take that back. But he revealed that they broke up because they got in a fight on her birthday.
Which I don't know, maybe it was, the phone message was too much like in the rearview mirror for them to bring this up at this point. But it was the last girl I think George has dated on the show. Oh, I'm sorry. He dated Ava, kind of.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
But I would have liked that. I would have liked something even further back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they can get away with mentioning characters that we never see and never will see, why can't they reference a character from 6 episodes ago?
No, of course.
What is it about sex that disrupts everything? Is it the touching or the nudity? And Jerry, I like this line. He's like, I don't think it's the nudity because, he never got into these terrible fights and misunderstandings when he was changing before gym class.
Mm-hmm.
Did that make you think of anything? The fact that they met in gym class?
Yeah, I thought of Mr. Heyman with the PE and the baked bean teeth.
Sure. I mean, if we get real for a second, what is about sex that disrupts everything? I think they're looking at this very superficially,
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's nudity. It's the touching. It's what have you. But it's
sure as hell isn't the intimacy. I tell you that.
Yeah,
they're not even touching on that part.
It's kind of a shame though, because these Jerry and George are so, I don't know. They're stupid at times, but other times they're very smart and they're very aware and I don't know,
perceptive.
Yeah, exactly. But in moments like this, you're just like, wow, you're just you're being an idiot.
But they're thinking with, they're not thinking with their heads right now.
Right. It's the penis and the brain.
Exactly.
Playing a game of chess. There's another George line here, which I absolutely love. And this is, I think, the first time I ever heard this term because I wasn't around. I don't know. I was pretty young when I first saw this episode, and I didn't really have a group of friends that were dating, and people were getting together, breaking up in this group. But he says that he can't see Elaine now because it's breakup by association, which is funny. I think the audience laughs, but it's so true.
Really is.
That's how friendships work, and you have to choose sides. You can talk maybe to both sides, but you have to be in one camp or the other. And the name of the episode is escaping me right now, but is it Gwen? I think in the lip reader when she breaks up with George.
Yeah.
And isn't everyone friends with her? Elaine's like, he's the loser.
Yeah, in the post breakup.
Right.
She's the victor. To the victor belong the spoils.
Reminded me a little bit of that.
So Jerry asked George, what did you end up giving her? $91. So I do like that George went ahead and he went through with it for Jerry. Like he still had Jerry's back and gave him half of what Jerry gave, and end up having Elaine getting mad at George as well.
Yeah. I'm sure George might be a little pissed too because, $91. I guess it's all a matter of opinion, but that is a big chunk of change,
especially for George to give up.
For George to give up, for one, but secondly, to give to someone that's not going to appreciate it.
She just pissed at him.
Yeah.
I feel like we're accumulating these reasons as to why Elaine has such disdain for George.
Mm-hmm.
We're compiling this list here.
That's a good point.
Here's another one. He gives crappy gifts. He gives her a sweater with a red dot on it.
So, what are you going to do?
Well, if I do call her, there's no joking around anymore. This is pretty much it.
So, maybe this should be it.
Could be it.
She seems like an it.
She's as it as you get. Imagine bumping into her on the street in 5 years with a husband. And she tells me that he's a sculptor, they live in Vermont.
We'd have to kill him.
We'd get caught, I'd get the chair.
I'd go to prison as your accomplice. Have to wear that really heavy denim. Get on the cafeteria line with the guy who slops those mashed potatoes onto your plate. Go to the bathroom in front of hundreds of people.
Plus, you know what else?
You better call her.
Oh, that line from George. You better call her.
You better call her.
I don't know why.
Sounds like Walt.
Yeah, it's like something from Staten Island or something. It's really weird how he says that. But if we could back up a little bit here from what we heard in the clip, Jerry's saying, I need to call Elaine. This is pretty much it. And George says, maybe this should be it.
Yep.
Jerry says, could be it. What are they talking about exactly here?
I think they're getting really serious, and they're finally coming to a realization that Elaine is an it girl. I use this term a lot for girls. She's an it girl. Like, she's the type of girl you marry.
Yes.
That's what I think they're getting at.
Right. And again, the only reason I'm breaking this down is because I really don't know this episode as well as future episodes. And I don't think I really understood what they were talking about here, like really thought about it. The idea of, if you see her in a couple of years with a husband and they live in Vermont, is Jerry saying like he doesn't want to live with that regret?
Yeah. If he lets this opportunity pass, she could be the one that got away, the one that he was meant to be with, or that, would give him the happiness that he perhaps is looking for.
Right.
But that's why he's saying she's as it as you get. Like, you're not going to get anyone, you're not going to find anybody as great as her to be your lifelong companion.
And this, we won't be talking about this for really a couple of years, but in the finale, this idea is revisited. And this idea of Elaine always loving Jerry, and I thought she
always loved United Airlines.
Well, there's that, but even Geraldo has that. I know the finale is very polarizing, but he has that great line. Who knows what'll happen? Maybe they'll wind up getting married. There's that kind of like, oh my God, are they going to get married in this episode?
Oh, season 10, bring it.
And it's just so dumb, and it's like you're pandering to the fans in a sense, or at least like the boneheaded mass audience. But what do you think? Like, would you have liked to see ultimately this show lead to Jerry and Elaine getting together?
I mean, I guess the sappy part of me would perhaps, but I'm totally fine with them not being together because, like, as we've talked about, in this world, in this Seinfeld universe, they're not meant to be together. They're meant to be friends who talk about their relationships and, have this back and forth and analyze, the norms and the abnormal things in society. So I'm fine with them not being together. Yeah. I like that they tiptoed around it in this way, not in this original way.
This way is pretty. They go into it, I think, in this episode, but it is sort of like hinted at in future episodes, whether it's the mango, like let me give you another orgasm, or when Jerry proposes to Elaine.
Yeah, that's right. We didn't even touch on that in this episode.
But it's a funny thing they come back to, and they always sort of like pull the rug out from under you and be like, "That's not this show. That's not what this is about."
Classic LD. Now, I'm surprised here. What do you think about this little exchange? Does this make you feel as uncomfortable as the previous scene with Jerry and Elaine talking about I can't do it? Because this is serious stuff too.
Yeah, and I think that's why this scene, I don't know. I just didn't really have much to say about it, or at least when I watched it, I kind of had a few questions. It's funny because I never really paid much attention during the scene because there weren't that many jokes, and this is the first time I really kind of focused on what they were saying. And there's something about this actually that I like more than the Jerry Elaine scene.
Yeah.
Because this doesn't really feel dramatic. This just feels like a very, I don't say existential, but there's that conversation they have in the pony remark about death and, like living your life and, what's wasting time. Can't you have coffee with friends? That scene there is one of like my all-time favorite Seinfeld scenes. And there's nothing really that funny about it.
Yeah.
This scene kind of feels the same way, just in the idea of, as you mentioned, like the it girl, that idea for Jerry, because Jerry never really settles down. I guess except for Jeannie or what's her name?
Jeannie Steinman.
Hey,
same initials.
Yeah. I'm all over the place. I guess what I'm trying to say is this scene doesn't bother me as much as.
All right, I get your point. There's definitely like a sentimental feel to this. I really like the two best friends kind of giving each other advice. More so George saying she's as good as you get, and he's trying to kind of nurture Jerry and nudge him that Elaine is the girl, So it's kind of nice. I feel like that's a conversation we've had, we've had in the past. So
for sure, So this scene definitely is something I think we could relate to more than the Elaine Jerry scene. But
I don't have a bench.
The drama, or I guess the serious part of the conversation, is disrupted by this talk about, they'd have to kill him. They'd have to kill Elaine's husband or future husband, and George goes on this rant about, going to prison as his accomplice. Which, of course, speaking of the finale, just
more prison talk.
Love the prison talk. I know it was not on Larry's mind or anyone's mind. Oh, these guys are all going to wind up in jail in the finale. But I love any kind of foreshadowing, especially unintentional in this show. Next scene, we're at Jerry's apartment, and like the scene before, Kramer comes in for the paper. He might have the keys, not sure. But Elaine shuffles out, and she looks a little different than before, but she looks so cute. I love this, kind of like Sunday morning sort of attire she has going on.
Got the glasses on now.
Got the glasses on. Huge wall of hair. Gives Kramer the paper, and he just asks, what are you doing today?
Oh, this, and that.
And the other. Man. Oh, it's this. I honestly don't know what to say for this scene.
Yeah.
It's. I think it works for the purpose of the show, but it just doesn't. It doesn't to me feel like Seinfeld.
Well, it almost feels like Larry was like, "Here's your damn scene." You know what I mean? Like here's your damn they got together thing. And I feel like it's a FU to the network. That's how it feels to me.
Whereas the network is just laughing it up. They're like, "Oh, this is great.
Way to go, LD! You did it." He sold the steak and the sizzle.
All right, let's get the hell out of this episode. A little bit of stand-up.
Why is commitment such a big problem for a man? I think that for some reason, when a man is driving down that freeway of love, the woman he's involved with is like an exit. But he doesn't want to get out. He wants to keep driving. And the woman is like, look, gas, food, lodging, that's our exit. That's everything we need to be happy. Get out here, now. But the man is focusing on the sign underneath that says next exit 27 miles, and he thinks, I can make it.
It's pretty good. I mean, it's another Jerry analogy. I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't really like click perfectly for me where I'm like, yes, that is so true.
yes, very true. It's not a home run, but it's a solid double.
Yeah, totally. Now, I think it's kind of interesting to note that we've talked about the episode as a whole from the commentary itself. When Larry and Jerry were watching this episode, 15 or so years after the fact, Jerry did comment with that last scene, if they did it all over again, they wouldn't have ended it like that, which
really
I thought was interesting. So not to let that affect our, your opinion or my opinion of the show, the last scene of the show, but there's something about it that just feels a little off. And I don't know if it's really aged well when you, again, as we've mentioned before, you compare it to the show as a whole. It just feels a little bit out of place. But
I was going to say, could you imagine if Seinfeld had gotten canceled after this episode, the impression it would have left on its viewers? I mean, think of all the things, first of all, that we would have missed and not been a part of. But the show that was, exploring all the little details of society, not focusing on emotion and relationships per se, but it ends on a completely different note than what the show was intended to be, of the two leads getting together.
Right.
And what a big FU it would have been to Larry if you had to end it on this.
Yeah, and I mean, no, you're right. Let's look at it from, Larry's point of view. This was, even though this wasn't the last episode to air for the season, it was the last episode that they filmed, that went under production. So by Larry's standards, his involvement, his work was done. The season was over when they presented this episode to network. And he never really, he's quoted as saying this, he was never really worried about ending with Jerry and Elaine as a couple because he never really thought about future seasons.
Mm-hmm.
So to answer your question, I don't know. I don't know how I would feel about the show as a whole, but looking at it from Larry's point of view, he seemed relieved because, as we know, he never really wanted the show to get picked up for more and more. The show was always like a lot of work for him and something he always kind of feared, right?
He hoped it would get canceled.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that, in an alternate universe, Seinfeld becomes a 2-season show and the two characters end up together. I'm like, oh, remember that Seinfeld show? Yeah, it's all right. You know what I mean? Yeah, a couple good episodes.
It seems like the kind of show maybe some people would rediscover, nowadays with just like the internet.
It'd be on Netflix, yeah.
Oh, yeah, totally. And have you heard of the show Seinfeld from the early 90s? It only went for 18 episodes.
Man, it would have been so much cooler if it kept going, like Arrested Development, yeah.
Oh, let's have a, and they do some kind of, Twin Peaks renewal now, 25 years later.
Oh, they're doing a Seinfeld movie.
If we're looking at this from Larry David's point of view, it was only 2 weeks after this episode aired, that would have been around May 16th, that NBC notified him and Jerry that they're going to be picking it up for a third season.
How many episodes?
22.
I can't do this. I don't know how I'm going to pull this off. I guess it's impossible.
Larry was quoted as saying, this time, dead honest here, real tears at the prospect of coming up with 22 more of these. And it's, I don't know, I'm sure there have been stories of Larry threatening to quit every season, but I feel like this might have been the hardest one to accept, right? I mean, 22 episodes after doing 18.
There's something about Larry's candid response that is so relatable, but having this daunting task ahead of you and not knowing how you're going to pull it off. I think that's one of the reasons I love him so much is he's being completely honest. Tears. How in the hell am I going to get through this? But he managed to do it, and with flying colors, and we have this wonderful little show that we obsess about each week as a result.
There's this, I don't know if it's the entertainment industry. I think it's just kind of society in general. I think there's this, I don't want to say unwillingness, but most people don't really share their insecurities to a lot of other people. They don't say, oh, I was so nervous, or, oh, I am so nervous, I don't want to do this. But yeah, I agree. There's something comforting, or at least like...
it's human.
To be moved by... It's comforting to know that someone as talented as Larry David and as successful as Larry David, whether we're talking, financially, critically, what have you...
Follically.
He's scared, like it's hard for him. It's not easy. And he wakes up with anxiety just like any of us might at the prospect of taking on like a huge challenge. And yeah, there's something about that whenever you hear about people that you really admire, whether it's in entertainment or any other field, knowing that they have bad days and knowing that they really struggle, it really puts things in perspective for you. And it makes you realize like, hey, they're just human. They're just a regular guy. It's nothing magic. It's nothing too big you can't understand. All right, enough rambling. Let's get into our ratings for this episode.
So, what do you think?
I feel like we've kind of spilled our thoughts throughout the episode in terms of the things we liked. As I watched this last night and this morning, I found myself really enjoying it. I mentioned that there were 3 classic scenes, a lot of one-on-one between Jerry and Elaine, and then Jerry and George. And I've always loved the first 3 seasons of Seinfeld because of the realism and how it seems so grounded in reality, but still had that Seinfeld humor that we've grown accustomed to. I don't mind the drama at all. And part of me does like to see Elaine and Jerry get together. even though it's only temporary. But I really thought this was a great episode. There were a couple things that made me laugh out loud, which I didn't expect because normally I don't, I don't have a big chorus ha when I watch the show. I just smile and nod approvingly like a content father. But I really enjoyed watching this. I don't have too much more to add. I wish Kramer was in it a little bit more, of course. I like when he's more involved. And it's funny because I think the episodes I've enjoyed the most have been the George-centric ones, although it has to be a certain type of George that we get that I really like it. But something about this one really did it for me. So I'll keep this short and sweet. I'm going to give this one 9 army cots this wide. You're not going anywhere out of 10.
Nice. Yeah, I think we kind of have spilled our guts when it comes to our thoughts on this episode already. But yeah, as a whole, it's one that I wasn't really looking forward to that much. It was one that I remember ragging on a lot in college. You know how I feel, Vinny, about drama and Seinfeld. It just doesn't work for me at all. However, that being said, it worked for me this time. Watching these episodes by episodes and really focusing on the development of these characters and the Seinfeld world, this episode makes sense, and I'm glad that if it had to happen, it happened when it did, and it wasn't something forced in season 6, season 7, when it's really painful, where it's like, oh, we've run out of ideas, or we need higher ratings, let's get these two people together. It feels natural here. So good on Larry David for finally just caving in and doing what NBC wanted, but also bringing his own twist to it and making this not, it wasn't easy for him to conceive of it, and it shouldn't be easy for Jerry and Elaine to make it work. It doesn't work, and if it doesn't work for Larry and it doesn't work for the characters, obviously the network should see, okay, this isn't going to work for this show. And I think maybe in a sense Larry kind of made his point with his writing. Would have to agree. I wish there was more Kramer and there was a little bit more George for this episode. They definitely seem like kind of feels like we're back actually to the early seasons of Seinfeld, where Jerry has a dilemma and he's consulting with George, going back to the dilemma, little cameos by Kramer, and that's it. This feels almost like a season 1 episode in a sense, which makes sense because it's Larry David, right? It's not Larry Charles or Peter Millman or Jerry Seinfeld for that matter contributing. So that being said, definitely enjoyed this episode more than I thought I would, and it's moved up. I respect it a lot more than I did in the past, if only because the first scene with Jerry and Elaine is so good, followed up by the George and Jerry scene in the diner, so good. So all in all, I think I'm going to give this 8 nice frames with a picture of another guy in it out of 10.
Oh, there you go. Not too bad.
All right, so that's going to do it for us at Seincast. Vinny, let everyone know how they can get in touch with us.
Sure thing. Email us at seincast@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook and like us. Follow us on Twitter at Seincast. And you can keep up to date with weekly posts and little tidbits and little previews of what we're going to be doing next.
Yes, and Vinny, this is a pretty exciting time because we officially have seasons 1 and 2 under our belts.
In the can.
Moving on to season 3 next week. And
oh my goodness, time's flying.
It really is, man. Like when we started this show, I'm like, this is going to take, we're only a 10th of the way through, right?
Yeah.
18 episodes out of 180. But
that's nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, it really isn't. And I'm really excited to really jumping forward in these first 4 seasons. Every season's going to change a little bit and become more and more Seinfeldian. So I'm really excited about tackling the next season with you. And a huge shout out to all of our listeners, whether you've been with us from the beginning or you just started listening with this episode. Hello. Thank you. We love your support. It just means the world to us, and we're going to keep going strong with this show as long as you guys keep listening. Hell, even if you stop listening, we're still gonna meet every week to talk about Seinfeld. So
there'll be at least 2 people listening.
Yes, at least 2 people listening, and our parents probably.
4, 6, and your wife 7.
7. There you go. Oh, right on. That's not too bad. Mickey Mantle. And that being said, if you could do us a favor, if you have time, just check us out on iTunes, leave us a rating and review. Hopefully the more feedback we get, the more likely other Seinfeld fans will join the party. So what episode, Vinny, do we have for next week?
Next week, we'll be discussing the first episode of season...
You're going to do that again.
Couldn't get the words out.
Week.
Next week, we'll be discussing the first episode of season 3, The Note. And I don't know, we might be seeing Sinatra in there, so check us out.
But for now, I'm Matt.
I'm Vinny.
Signing off. Seincast is not endorsed by Castle Rock Entertainment, Sony Pictures, or NBC, and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. The official Seinfeld site can be found at sonypictures.com/TV/Seinfeld. Seinfeld, the Seinfeld logo, and all names, pictures, and audio of Seinfeld characters are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Castle Rock Entertainment or their respective trademark and copyright holders.